Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. I knew I had a proper hunch. I had this before with the pro-Palestine movement. I had this with BLM, the alphabet community as well. I kept on calling it out. I kept making the connections. And now the president, Donald J. Trump himself, is starting to see what I'm seeing. This Elon Musk stuff, this vandalism of Tesla merchandise, products, cars, whatever they can get their hands on is getting way out of hand. And Trump is starting to make the connection that I'm making. But let's just run through a bunch of stuff that's been happening to Teslas recently.
Tesla's stock was hit hard with its steepest drop in 5 years. CEO Elon Musk's controversial role in the White House causing fallout for the company.
And for some who drive Teslas as well. Our Charlie DeMar spoke with a repair shop and drivers about the impact.
Oh, hey, ho, ho. Elon Musk has got to go.
Weekend protests at the Chicago Gold Coast Tesla dealership were peaceful. In New York, there were arrests after a demonstration at a Tesla showroom. Last week in Oregon, the windows of a dealership were shattered by bullets. And in Massachusetts, a Tesla charging station went up in flames.
Us Tesla drivers are a little bit under attack.
Back in Chicago, Ed, who asked us not to use his last name, was parked on Lakeshore Drive last month when he says his blue Tesla was vandalized, with a clear message to Tesla's co-founder, Elon Musk.
And I look and I see in giant white spray painted letters, F Elon. You could probably fill in the blank. For what? It didn't affect Elon, and it's something that I had to deal with.
I've seen a lot of vandalism cases over the years, but this one might.
I have to say, that is the one thing. What he just said was perfect. It didn't affect Elon, and it was just something that I had to deal with. If you notice, throughout all these little movements that are squared at the powers that be and billionaires and the system and this and that, it seems like all they seem to do is do things that affect the regular citizens. Think of a movement that's happened on the progressive side of things. When has it ever actually affected the people that it's actually supposed to affect? It always affects the citizens, and there's a reason for that. We'll talk about that soon.
It didn't affect Elon, and it's something that I had to deal with.
I've seen a lot of vandalism cases over the years, but this one might take the cake.
The profane graffiti was buffed out at Richard's Body Shop in Albany Park.
They're getting vandalized just for no reason, just because they're driving Teslas.
Thank you. This is a lifesaver today.
Good.
Owner Eddie Zipperstein says what happened to Ed's blue Tesla is not isolated. A Tesla owner and now customer recently sent Zipperstein this video taken in Chicago that shows a white Chevy hitting the bumper, backing up and then accelerating again, damaging the car. The driver gets out and walks away.
It's Chicago, yes, when parking, sometimes bumpers kiss.
That was not a kiss. That was intentional. That one was, they sped back up and rammed right into him intentionally.
The owner of this body shop says he's not only fixed vandalized Teslas, he's also been targeted for owning one.
Yeah, this is my car and I see it, I get it myself. The kind of car you drive shouldn't be like a reason to get attacked.
Ed says ultimately it's Tesla owners like him suffering the consequences, not Elon Musk.
If you're trying to make an impact or make a statement, do something more productive. Be an activist, get out there and, spread your message in a more positive way. Don't affect a random person and spray paint graffiti on their car.
Charlie DeMar, CBS News, Chicago.
EPA under the Trump administration is now.
Be more productive. That is exactly what they should be doing. Don't affect regular people. This guy seems to be onto something, but that's what they always do. They always do that. I mean, what did BLM do? How much damages was that? Was that $1 billion? About billions in damages? Storefronts, mom and pop getting closed down, block after block after block, taking over college campuses, university campuses. Oh, I just want to go. I don't care about either side. I just want to get to class. Some guy in a mask. Oh, sorry, you can't go this way. You're not allowed through here. We've commandeered this area. What? What do you mean? What? It's for justice. It's for justice. Sorry, you have to keep going. You have to go around. Thank you. Time and time again. time and time again, it's always squared directly at the citizens. Here's another clip of more wildness with Teslas.
Seeing more reports of vandalized Teslas from all around the country. The latest one happening in the Pacific Northwest. We want to warn you, some of the vandalism you see it's offensive. In suburban Seattle, police say 6 vehicles were tagged at a Tesla dealership. One of them was a Cybertruck that was just at the dealership for maintenance. It was spray painted and tagged. The truck's owners called the incident disheartening, but says he doesn't feel personally attacked. The vandalism appears to be the latest in a string of incidents against Tesla products. We saw a dealership in northern Colorado that's been targeted twice since the start of the year. A lot of people believe those incidents are protests against Elon Musk and his work with the Department of Government Efficiency. Amid the boycotts and protests, some Tesla owners are taking action. One man in Georgia is so mad at Musk, he took the Tesla decals off his car. Paul Rankin used a heat gun, then just kind of pulled that decal off with his fingers. He says he removed the Tesla badges in protest because Musk is not an elected official.
Things aren't going super well, micro-empowered, because it's almost nothing that I've done. But yeah, it makes me feel like I'm doing something.
To branch out, offering his services to help other Tesla owners remove their decals.
Well, I'm glad, you know, that
We're seeing more.
guy, his wife's boyfriend's probably really proud of him. Probably helped him do it. But in all honesty, it is getting to the point where people feel like they have to do that because they can't just get rid of their car. There's a lot of these weird activists. I even played one of them in the other Elon video I did, where the guy's like, you can get another car. If you can afford this car, you can get another car. And it's like, do you know how the world works? People can't just get cars all willy. Like, what do you think this is? You're damaging their car and you're like, get another one. Like, are you 7 years old? Some of these people have the mentalities of 6-year-olds. Well, I mean, if you don't like this car, we can just go to the car shop and get another one. I have candy canes. Oh, okay. Thanks, Billy. But yeah, it's getting to the point where people actually do have to do stuff like this. And it is sad that they have to do stuff like this, you know? And I can't sit there and be like, this guy should stand tall and just keep his Tesla symbols on there. In fact, it's actually, you know, I'm making fun of him, but it's pretty cool to actually remove those things from your car. I would do it if I knew how. I don't know how. I don't really care. But I think it's pretty cool. It's actually making me think about doing it now. You know, I actually might do it. I guess so. I'm going to take after this cuck, I guess. In this way, in no other way. But yeah, it's getting to the point where people have to do this sort of thing. They got to remove the decals. They have to be afraid just because they have Teslas, because they're being targeted. But are they being targeted by actual activists? I don't know. I don't think so. I have been able to call it out time after time after time. Take a look at this. Time after time after time. I've been able to call it out when I see it. Because I've read the book Rules for Radicals. I've read what Marxists and the progressives of today, I've read what they do. I've read their little handbooks. So you can just look at what's happening and just go, oh, this is linked directly to this. And it's happening just as these people who are in office on the left are upset. So obviously there's some kind of connection there. You know, I can't just right away say it's a solid one, but it's the same playbook over and over again. This is exactly what we saw happening. Again, BLM, you know, when the alphabet community was raging on their whole thing. The pro-Palestine movement was a big one. You've seen it time and time again. And believe me, I'm not like pressing on people who are pro-Palestine. It's like if you look back at that movement, I was actually examining it pretty well. If you look back at it, a lot of the protests were hosted by something called the Socialist Liberation Party or something. I think they're called something along those lines. And they were hosting every single event. And every time you heard them speak, they were never speaking about the actual conflict. They were all just speaking about how bad America is and imperialism and how it all needs to get torn down. It's always the same type of stuff. It's always the same type of anarchy type of thinking. And right now, this was posted by Joe Rogan's podcast X page. Delete your account. It says if it's a Nazi bar, if they let a Nazi in the bar, it is a Nazi bar. And Joe Rogan started thinking along the lines that I'm thinking as well. Who do you think is funding this? That's what he says right at the top there. And 100%. Who does everyone think is funding this? Now, that's the part where I couldn't actually say definitively. I have no idea. You know, we have no clue who's actually funding it. I can only just talk about what I've seen time and time again. You know, I've seen Soros connections and other things. Actually, in all three of the things I mentioned, there was a Soros connection. That I know that much. Some progressive NGO connections. I know that. But in terms of this actual thing that's happening now, I don't know who's funding it. Here's another. You want to see some more dumb stuff? Check it out.
Armed with a pickaxe and sledgehammer, these two fellas went to town on this Tesla.
We don't like what Elon Musk is doing.
This man would only give me his first name. Greg, but says he actually owns the white Model S.
I bought it just to destroy it.
And Greg says he coordinated the stunt with his friends because he doesn't like Musk.
Tesla supports fascists.
The guy literally bought it just to smash it. Just rich, huh? Just rich. So rich. You ever done something like that? I've never even bought a shirt just to rip it. That would be out of the question. This guy bought a whole car just to smash it up. And it's like, no one can even really see it. It's on this like small news network. It's not like it was on CNN or something. Just extraordinarily rich. Like, this guy has Elon money. This guy's probably just jealous. He's like, I only have 1 billion. Elon has hundreds of billions. Something. But let's just get deeper into the rabbit hole that I'm talking about. Now, Trump has called these people who are committing these crimes domestic terrorists.
Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all of them. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them.
Yeah, it's quite literally terrorism. Here are some of the things they're doing because they don't like Elon's politics. Here's an example of charging stations. This dealership was shot up, graffitiing new vehicles, burning new vehicles. Not to mention, they're also graffitiing random people's cars who have Teslas. Now here's the definition. Terrorism is the use of violence to achieve a political goal by creating fear in a population. It can involve threats or actual violence against people or property. Domestic means at home, foreign means abroad. There are people in this country that are domestically trying to influence politics, right, through threats and violence. These people are quite literally domestic terrorists, and they should be treated as such. I think the FBI should get involved and take it seriously. I will be hoping to see Kash Patel and the FBI step in and start taking this seriously because it's getting out of hand. But it's great to see Trump out in public supporting Elon. He deserves every ounce of it.
I agree. I mean, with the, I think he rolled through the definition there. Yeah, with that definition, that is what they're doing. They are using violence to achieve political goals by creating fear in a population. That is what they're doing. And again, it's stressful for Elon. Yeah, I'm sure it's stressful to see Tesla stock go down. I'm sure it's stressful to hear that there's threats on your life, but you can just beef up security. You know, you got billions of dollars. You know, you can liquidate at any moment in time and have billions of dollars and maybe not be the richest person, but still be in the top 5. So you know that you'll be just fine. You know, you haven't even really released what you have in regards to robotics, and that'll just make the stock shoot up. And then when he actually gets some things going more so with SpaceX, you know, the net worth just shoots up again. You know, so he's fine. but they are creating fear in a population. They're making sure to create fear in a population of people, and that's people who own Teslas. You know, people who, and the thing is, the funny thing is, there's so many people who own Teslas who aren't even Trump supporters, because they were just Elon supporters before Elon was a Trump supporter. So now they're in this place where they're like, they were, a lot of them probably agree with those same people that are vandalizing their cars. They're just in this rock in this hard place, and they don't know what to do. And they can't just go buy another car. They're on the hook. They've been making payments, or maybe they bought it outright. And you can't just get rid of a car just like that out of nowhere. Like, I don't know, man. It's just wild to see. But this guy's starting to figure it out. But Trump is starting to figure it out. He had this to say after that little part that this gentleman just played.
Yeah. Mr. President talks about some of the violence that's been going on around the country at dealerships. Some say they should be labeled domestic terrorists.
I will do that. I'll do it. I'm going to stop them. We catch anybody doing it because they're harming a great American company. You know, I've stuck up for the NFL. I've stuck up for a lot of American companies and other companies, but American companies. I did a very big favor for the NFL. I do favors for all of them. When you heard an American company, especially a company like this, supplies so many jobs that others are unable to do, when you do that, those people are going to go through a big problem when we catch them. And we have we got a lot of cameras up. We already know who some of them are. We're going to catch them. And they're bad guys. They're the same guys that screw around with our schools and universities, the same garbage. And we're going to catch them. And let me tell you, you do it to Tesla and you do it to any company, we're going to catch you and you're going to go through hell.
Mr. President.
The exact same guys that mess with the schools and the universities. Well, that's beautiful. I did a whole report on this. I believe it's on the second channel. It's when Jimmy Dore and I were going back and forth a little bit. And I was suggesting that the pro-Palestine movement had been infiltrated by certain people. He said that's absolutely ridiculous. He grew up in the time of Democrats being peace and love, and, you know, everybody who's at a protest is righteous and yeah. And then I just showed a bunch of reports of Antifa members getting arrested left and right in all of those university campuses. There was like 10 to 15 different arrests of Antifa members. They're spray painting Antifa all over the walls. And then I found the paper trail from Soros all the way down to the actual protesters. And I was just like, okay, well, there you go. And my platform's not as big as his, so people didn't see it. But I think I made my point. Hopefully he saw it. But either way, Trump knows that these are the same people doing this. There are certain people who are doing this, and they need to be deemed as terrorists. I think, listen, I said it at the beginning. You always see, and you always know when these people are afoot, because no matter what they infiltrate, every single time, you can look at it and see that they're going to be harming citizens more than anybody. And also, they're going to be harming citizens, and they're also going to be destabilizing the country. BLM, major destabilization. The pro-Palestine wasn't really too much, but it was destabilizing the university campuses. There were random people taking over big parts of universities, and where there was only young people who went to universities, all of a sudden it was populated with unhinged 40-year-olds who are willing to pepper spray you if you decided to try and walk through without their authorization. So there was a destabilization there as well. And and that's always the way it is. You'll be able to see it time and time again if you just watch for the signs. Again, read Rules for Radicals. I'm telling you, it tells you so much. But I'm so glad that Trump is now seeing what's going on and letting people know, like, these are the exact same guys. Because it is. It's the same playbook. The exact same playbook. They're accusing you of being a fascist. They're accusing you of being a dictator. They're accusing you of harming the citizens. All the while, they are using tactics that a dictator would use. They are scaring the citizens the way a dictator would. and they are actually engaging in actual fascism from the bottom all the way to the top of their so-called organizations, or whatever you want to call it. So I'm glad that he's deeming them terrorists. I think that should be a thing, and I think they should look into it more. And I think Kash Patel already has looked into it a little bit, because there's a development there as well with Kash Patel and Trump. Apparently, Kash Patel has requested a phone line that goes directly to the White House and bypasses Pam Bondi. But that is for another episode.